You have done everything you want to do to make sure you do not keep thinking about the person, but your effort has not been yielding any good result because God does not want you to let go yet. God does not want you to forget the person. That is the reason He has put the person in your heart to allow you to think about the person. If God still wants you to keep that relationship, He will always keep you in touch with that feeling. You will still have that soft emotion for that person. You will always find it hard to let go of the feeling you have for that person. There is a reason God keeps allowing you to think about that person. You have once loved that person. You have once cared for that person. You have once wanted to live all your life with that person. But now you feel you wish that you do not think about that person again. But it is not what God wants for you. It is not the idea of the Lord for you, because He still wants you to keep that person in your mind. Sometimes when things are happening to you, ask questions from the Lord. You can ask so that the Lord will open up the reasons He is doing those things. You must know that everything God is doing in you is to make your life great so that you will be blessed with everything you have ever needed. You are going to see the reasons why God keeps allowing you to think about that person. 3 reasons God keeps you thinking about that person. Number 1, that person is a great impact to you. You know that feeling when someone has been a blessing to you. You know that thought when someone has touched and affected your life positively. People do not just buy into your mind or win your heart. Some things make you give people the space in your life. When someone has brought that blessing to your life, when that person has been a reason you have found joy and happiness in your relation, when your relationship with that person has always been a thing of joy and happiness, you will have to understand that it will be hard for you to forget that person in a jiffy. You may have been in a relationship that has not given you that joy that you deserve. Everything you experience in that relationship is always a crisis and sadness. But here comes someone God used to turn your love life and experience around. When you are not with them, the thought of the person will always overwhelm your heart. God will always bring them to your heart. He will keep allowing you to think about the person because it was through contact with that person God sent you that found peace and love. Forgetting such a person won't be easy. The person gave you love, gave you peace. You were happy being with the person. Thinking about that person is a response to the impact of the person's presence in your life. When you remember the vacuum the person occupies, there is a memory of them that God has made to fill your mind that is making you see it as impossible to stop thinking about that person. It is God that is making you think about that person because the person is a great impact in your life. Number 2, you have a life with that person. Another reason God allows you to keep thinking about someone is because you have a life and future with such a person. You will easily see that you will always find it difficult to stop thinking about that person. Meeting that person is that first step action. In life, you don't know who you have not met. When you have not seen someone before or contacted someone before, you will not know that person. When you meet someone, you have got a knowledge of the person and may interact with the person as well. This is where you start responding to whatever feeling that develops in you. When God has prepared a future for you and that person, then He will cause you to always think of that person. That person is your future. There is something about that person you have to explore, and that is the reason God keeps allowing you to think about the person. Great relationship and love life were ignited like this. Inspiring couples started like this. It is not wrong to feel love for the right person. Everything about the right person is a blessing, and it is God that blesses you with the right thing. When you have a future with someone, when God has prepared a future and a life for you and that person, God will keep allowing you to think about that person. You will not stop thinking about that person until you have done the right thing that will ignite the love, and the relationship will give you a beautiful experience of life. Number 3, you have a role in the person's life. In every relationship you find yourself in, you always have a role to play to ensure that relationship is great. There are times God will want you to do something for your spouse, and He will put the thought of your spouse constantly in you, so that you will not neglect the role you have in that person. You cannot claim you love someone if you do not have a plan to bless that person. No matter who that person is, when you say you are in love with your spouse, one thing that ignites the love you have for that person is the vision to make that person the best you always have around you. You always think of what to do to make the person great. You always explore your thoughts and your spirit to know what you could create to give your lover the best love experience that will blow that mind. In your relationship, you cannot take away the role of destiny from it. There is always a role that you have to play to make your spouse fulfill destiny. You will not want your spouse to fail. You are always thinking. It is because the destiny ahead that your spouse has to fulfill has made God fill your heart with that person's thought, so that you will not fail in playing your role to see that person succeed in fulfilling their God-given destiny. You know that the thought that fills your heart, not the soft feeling of love now, but that feeling of thought that fills your heart about that person, because you have to support their dreams and help them to succeed in the pursuit of their goals. There are some things that you have the will to control about yourself, and there are also some things you cannot handle or control by yourself, because it is out of your power as a person. Have you been disturbed that you have not been able to forget someone and move on? There are instances where someone did wrong to you, and you have been offended, and you have nothing to do with that person again. But in the process of time, you are still thinking about the person. It is very possible because God sometimes allows that just to communicate some things to you. You may not know the reason the thought of someone is still in your heart.